I'm really fascinated to see how all of the corruption stuff around the Bidens and throughout our government works out in the end. Do the American people actually stand up and go, hey, okay, enough is enough? Do they care? Does anything happen? Or do they all get away with it? I can't wait for the ending.
Yeah, I was going to say these are rhetorical questions, right? Because I don't want to be sad enough to answer them.
Yeah,
because it doesn't seem like
But I will tell you, there is a point coming that we either completely are just absorbed into this corrupt system, or Americans begin to stand up and say enough is enough. You know, it was 1854, 56, where a senator stood up in the well of the Senate by himself. And they were talking about slavery. And he said, you people are hypocrites. You are hypocrites. The two parties then were the Whigs and the Democrats. And he said, you guys talk a good game. Yeah, we're going to work on that one when you're back at home. You're not doing anything. Neither of you guys, neither party is serious about solving any problems. And meanwhile, the South is sleeping with the whore of slavery. That got him almost beaten to death in the well of the Senate. Now, you think that's bad? This is worse. Not only was he almost beaten to death, the guy who beat him to death was a congressman. He used his cane to do it, beat him in the head. Sumner was never the same, and no one stopped him. No one on the Senate floor, no, the color guard didn't show up. Nobody showed up to pull that guy off of him. Then he was never prosecuted. He was never questioned. He was never arrested, ever. Instead, the Democrats came back into session, and they had made chains with a little mock cane on it, and they wore it outside of their clothes, basically saying, you want some of this? You bring this up and we'll do it to you. Okay? That was the end. That day marked the end of the status quo. There's going to be an event. Somebody's going to stand up and say, enough. Enough. I don't know what it is, but it's coming. It's coming because it's too. Honestly, I was reading the news today. You got to get the email newsletter. Today it's like, oh my gosh, it's just crazy. Get the email newsletter, glennbeck.com. It's free. But I'm going through all of that, and I'm looking and reading all the stories. And at some point this morning, I actually stopped and went, okay, I can get the idea of the normalcy bias. I can get the idea that everybody's been pushed into a corner, but I really don't understand anybody, and maybe it's that there's no honest people. Anyone who is honestly looking at things, I don't know how you don't get how bad the situation is, because it's everywhere. Now, let me go back to the whistleblower. Whistleblower stories I love. The whistleblower now, the new one, I mean, I'd like to hear, it's like a chorus of whistles. I'd like to hear them all blow at once. The whistleblower is alleging that the FBI and Justice Department are in possession of a document that describes a criminal scheme involving then Vice President Joe Biden and a foreign national relating to the exchange of money for policy decisions. This coming from Grassley's office. Grassley is not a bomb thrower. Grassley, I mean, he's too old. I don't think he could pick up and lift and throw the bomb. But he's not a bomb thrower. Also, it comes from the committee chairperson, James Comer. These guys, it's not the same as, I don't know, if you took Marjorie Greene. This is not the same as that. These two have credibility. Now, they say the document includes a precise description of how the alleged criminal scheme was employed as well as its purpose. The document, an FBI-generated FD 1023 form, if there's anybody who knows what that is, that was put in this story, I bet for a reason, allegedly details an arrangement involving an exchange of money for policy decisions. They issued a subpoena yesterday following legally protected disclosures to Grassley's office. They wrote, "We believe the FBI possesses an unclassified internal document that includes very serious and detailed allegations implicating the current president of the United States. What we don't know is what, if anything, the FBI has done to verify these claims or investigate further. The FBI's recent history of botching politically charged investigations demands close congressional oversight." So what you need to know on this is this could be a charge that they investigated, it went nowhere because it was an empty charge. Nothing was really there. However, the whistleblower has seen this document and is led or leading people to believe, yeah, they didn't do anything. They buried this. With their recent burials that they're doing, just even on Hunter Biden. Why has that guy not been charged? Why has he not been charged for any crime? Any crime. And they're saying, well, we're going to get him on a couple of tax things. Tax things? How about drugs? How about drugs? I mean, even if it's not true, which it absolutely is, the paperwork is in. All of the money being laundered going to the family. There's nothing after, 4 years of knowing all of this stuff? There's nothing? No action? This, and I think Biden is too smart to do this. At one point, he had all of his faculties. I can't imagine that he was like, oh, you want that policy? Well, let me look at the menu here. That one's $14.99. Now, you want a policy on climate change? I can get you into something there for, $800. That ain't going to... I can't believe he was that stupid.
Glenn, they literally left a laptop at a computer repair shop.
No, that is his heroin son.
I know, but I had that I think I said the same thing on the air the day that Hunter Biden story came out. There's no way he's that stupid. He left his laptop at a computer repair shop. That can't possibly be true. And then guess what? It was. So I don't know. It doesn't seem like they're very good at covering their tracks. I will say that does not seem to be, of all the things that the Bidens do well, and there's so many of them, this one doesn't seem to be one of them. The idea that they can actually commit crimes and then cover them.
Yeah, well, they don't really even have to cover them. They just think they can get away with it, which again leads me back to things like Epstein. Nobody's investigating these things. Nobody's investigating them. I mean, do you trust the investigations of the FBI, the Justice Department? Do you trust our NSA, our CIA? Our CIA is spying on us. Our CIA thinks we are the problem. We are the enemy. They're doing everything to protect the government, not the people. If they're involved in anything like with a Jeffrey Epstein, do you think they're going to expose that? No. No way. No way. And anybody who helps them, I mean, look at the media. How do you possibly explain the media not reporting that, all of our sources have been lying to us? All of our sources, national security source deep in the intelligence community told us. That's what they've been saying for 6 years. All their sources are national intelligence sources, okay? It's CIA, it's NSA. And they've been feeding them incorrect information over and over and over again. And now we know that it was intentional. It was planned. You could have said, well, CIA, they're always wrong. No. Now we know these things were planned, plotted, and executed, and we have the goods on it. Why is the press still not talking about it? Because they have been co-opted by our national security apparatus. They are just an arm of that apparatus. And if you don't think that happens, then you've got to go back and read our own history. This is what the Church Commission found back in the 70s. They had co-opted the media, and we were supposed to have oversight, but the oversight isn't. They classify everything now. So even Congress members, they can't get the documents. How many times did the White House file a subpoena for documents from the Justice Department or from CIA? Nope, can't turn it up. We can't get those. We can't get those to you. In the darkness is where all of this corrupt stuff happens, and there is no one shining the light on it. Thank God for the internet. Thank God for people who have brains and are thinking and are still willing to question. We're going to treat these whistleblowers exactly the same way we treated the other whistleblowers. If you have the goods, great. But we're not going to condemn somebody on things that we don't have the goods on. When it comes to the money in China, you got the goods. It was all there. This one, we have no idea. Nobody's actually seen the document, I think, except for the whistleblower. If the goods are there, great. We need to find out about it. We need to know about it and make a decision there. This is far more serious. This will be, if this is true, this is the biggest scandal of an American president in the history of America. There is no bigger scandal than a president or a vice president taking money from a foreign entity to affect our policies. Nothing bigger. Nothing bigger. But let's wait and see what the whistleblower actually has and what the FBI did about it. Just because he's got a document, if he comes in, they will produce this. Just because he has a document that says these allegations, that still doesn't mean he did it.
Right. There's a lot to find out, but it's an amazing thing. They're going to be going into full spin mode, which is what they do. You mentioned that they basically lead the coverage. And this goes back to, the most on-the-record thing we have on that is Ben Rhodes from the Obama administration. Remember this quote? It's still one of the most remarkable things that's ever come out. He says, we're talking about how the Iran deal, how they sold the Iran deal to the American people. All these newspapers, this is an Obama administration official. All these newspapers used to have foreign bureaus. Now they don't. They call us to explain to them what's happening in Moscow and Cairo. Most of the outlets are reporting on world events from Washington. The average reporter we talk to is 27 years old, and their only reporting experience consists of being around political campaigns. That's a sea change. They literally know nothing. That's an on-the-record quote from an Obama official.
It's true.
It's true. This is how they get away with this stuff.
When I first got into national broadcast and we were at CNN, do you remember I did a couple of interviews with big legendary names in the industry, and I would come off the floor and I'd go, that person has no idea what they're even talking about. They don't care. They're not interested. They have no idea. They got some questions that a producer handed. So it was bad then, but now you have people that were trained in college and they were told this is what journalism really is, which it's not, and they have no experience, and they're just going in and trusting them. That